Hi, good morning, and happy Friday. So I had to go to a meeting for a short time. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started with class. So looking at your data from your assignment from Wednesday, now we can see that there's a not much of a division between the class. And overall, the score was out of 8 points, and I gave you guys two extra credit questions. So if you wanted 100%, it was right here. You had to get 8 questions right. Now, if you got the last two, I will be giving you extra credit. So, anyways, looking at the trend, we just have a few students that are still not getting it. So, I'm just going to do a quick review based off the data and then perhaps use some of the problems that we have and then just move forward like that. Okay, so I'm basically going to divide the class from 6 out of 8. So if you're over here on this side, you're definitely getting it, and you just perhaps if you're over here next to this little line, you just need a little bit of help to get over to this side. Now, if you're on the other side, I would probably say you need a little bit more support, and that's what I'm going to do today with you in this video until I come back. So from looking at the data and looking at the problems you guys missed the most, I could tell that we are having a difficult time with mixed fractions and then improper fractions. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to some examples. And we'll just start. Actually, we'll start from the skills that are required for this unit. So we already talked about the skills, and we talked about why we need the skill of using our calculator to divide fractions out. And anyways, the main concept was rates. And remember, rates just come from ratios. Ratios are basically fractions that compare one thing to another, and they become rates when you start talking about descriptions or units. So, for example, five what? 5 bananas, and the bottom, the denominator, it's four what? 4 monkeys. So this becomes a rate. It looks like a fraction, but it has descriptions. So let's move on with that idea in mind. And from a rate, you could get a unit rate when you simplify by using a strategy that we learned with our calculator. And our objective is to get the number one in the bottom so that we can find the unit rate. So now this reads 1.25 bananas for 1 monkey versus 5 bananas for 4 monkeys. And the strategy, or actually the concept that we'll be using, is going from a rate to a unit rate, you will be dividing. I want to use this example to kind of go over the steps to solving a unit rate or converting a rate to a unit rate, because that's what we learned. We learned how to go from a rate to a unit rate. Okay, so observing this rate, we have the numbers 120 for money, 16 represents kilograms or the weight of something. So that says you're paying $120 for 16 kilograms. Okay, and now the statement reads, find the price per kilogram. So they're interested, how much are you going to pay for 1 kg? And I'll draw a little box because we do not know that value. So to solve this type of problem, remember we started with the question, and actually no, not the question, the steps. The following steps. Step 1 was to separate your numbers from symbols and units. So go ahead and do that in your whiteboard. And Mr. Villalobos, you could pause the video to give him some more time to write that in their whiteboard, to copy this, and then to kind of annotate. Okay, now you should be able to write 120 over 16. And then we're forgetting something. What are we forgetting? Go ahead and type in the chat. And Mr. Villalobos, you could confirm if they have it correct or incorrect. You could definitely pause the video when you need to. We definitely forgot to carry over our units and our symbol. So dollar sign, we're keeping it in the back for right now. Price over kg. Okay. From here, we just completed step 1. We need to do step 2. And step 2 is use your calculator to divide the fraction out. Now, if you forgot what number from the fraction goes in first in your calculator, remember, use the type of memory kinesthetic. Tap your head for top, tap your foot for bottom. So what comes first? Does the top come first or does your bottom come first? That will give you a clue how to enter it in your calculator. And Mr. Villalobos, just give him some time to convert uh, this fraction into a decimal or a number with decimals, or just a number. So once you guys do that, you should be getting the following, and you should definitely put equals because so far everything's equaling each other. This part equals that part, and now this is all equal to 7.5. But once again, what am I forgetting? I have 7.5. I'm forgetting something special. I'm forgetting some type of description for 7.5. Go ahead and type that in the chat. And Mr. Villalobos just confirmed some answers. And we are forgetting the units. And that's the money sign, word price over kg. Now, we are not done yet. We are still forgetting one last step. We need to change this response of 7.5 to a fraction so that we can read the unit rate nicely. So just remember that you can change anything to a fraction by just adding the number 1 in the bottom. So 7.5 over 1. Now we can move over the unit of the symbol of the dollar sign. The dollar sign is located over here. And the word price stays in the back. Over kg. Now this reads 7.5, the price, over 1 kg. Or you could rewrite it in English like this. 7.5 dollar sign per, because it means 1 kg. We are definitely focusing on this though because we need this to kind of move forward with today's lesson. So that's kind of a review of what the general concept was. It got a little bit more tougher when we started talking about basically mixed fractions. So I'll go ahead and show you first off a word problem that you should be able to do. And actually, let's do this one, Mr. Villalobos. Have the students work this out and just confirm what their answers in the chat. And just pause the video, give them some time to read it out loud to them, and just click play once you want to see the response and the solution. Okay, from reading this, I'll read it out loud one last time. A custom car company can produce 18 rims in 1.5 days. So this company is creating 18 rims in a day and a half. So how many rims are produced per day? So how many rims are they really making in just one day? So step 1 is ask yourself what you're finding. Well, we're trying to find out how many rims in one day per day. Okay, great. Now the next question for you guys is, what are we finding? Actually, I apologize. The next question is, what is given? Well, it's given that you have 18 rims in 1.5 days. So the next step is to create your rate, because this is actually the rate that the rims are being produced. So there's 18 R for rims over 1.5 days. Do not make this mistake of writing 15 days because that would totally give you a different answer. So it's 18 R for rims over 1.5 days. Now we're gonna go ahead and set that equal to something else right now, but the step one tells you to go ahead and split up your numbers from letters. Now, before you even do that, if you have any type of fractions in that fraction, you need to change those to decimals. And if you have any type of mixed fractions, you need to change those to numbers with decimals. But since we don't have that, we just have numbers and numbers with decimals, we could just go ahead and split it up. So let me go ahead and split that up. That's 18. In the bottom, we have 1.5. And it's still a fraction, and that fraction is telling you to divide. Now I'm forgetting something, and that's the units. I cannot forget the units. It's R over the letter D for days. Now at this point, you guys should know what to do, and you just plug it in your calculator, and you should get an answer out. So that's equal to something, and I'll just double check with you guys that you guys get it right. And let me just type it in really quick. And it turns out you have 12 rims. Now I'm going to use the color purple now. You have 12 rims over the letter D for days. This still doesn't make sense to me when I read it because it says 12 rims days. So what I need to do is I need to change it to a fraction. So it's 12 over 1. Now I can read it. 12 rims in 1 day. Or like I told you guys, you could definitely write it like this. R for rims per day. Now, I'm mostly interested in this format because this format is what we need. Okay, now Mr. Villalobos, I'm going to go ahead and show him how to deal with the mixed fractions. Okay, now for mixed fractions, I went over this in class, but I did not get a chance to do an example. I just expected you guys to watch the video in your homework, so please watch the videos in your homework. They actually explain a lot how to deal with that type of problem because it provides you help. Okay, so looking at this problem, let's actually just focus on the top one. How do we change that mixed fraction to a number with a decimal? Well, first off, we have to understand what this mixed fraction is representing. So it's basically representing 10 full pieces, 10 complete full pieces, plus, you go ahead and put the plus sign, plus 1/4. What does 1/4 represent? Well, it represents one of those full pieces again, but a little small piece of it, a very tiny small piece. Because remember, that tells you to cut up one of those pieces into 4 pieces, and you only have one, because the numerator on top tells you 1. So what we had to do to this type of problem is that we need to split up this mixed fraction into an addition problem. So it's going to be 10 plus 1/4. And right now you cannot add it because it is just a fraction. You could definitely do it and keep it in fraction form, but that's not what we want. We want to change every fraction to a decimal to keep it nice for us. So it's going to be 10 plus, and go ahead and find the decimal form of 1/4. And this should be 0.25. So now when you plug in this into your calculator, you should get 10.25. So a quick shortcut, if you master this, would be if you have a mixed fraction and there's enough space, you could put a plus sign right there, or you could just rewrite it and do 8 plus 4/5, change the fraction to a decimal, and then just add it to the number. So 4/5, we're going to find out what that is equal to right now. And you could type it in the chat if you're faster than me. We'll see how fast you are. And it's 0.8. So when you add it in your calculator, you should get 8.8. Now this is the same as this. It's just a different way of representing it. Very similar to what we just first did in the beginning. I did not emphasize this, but 10.25 is the same as 10 and 1/4. So it's just a different way of representing those mixed fractions, but we want them in numbers with decimals. Okay, from here on, we're going to go ahead and, Mr. Villalobos, we're going to probably do one of these problems together. And the one I want is this one. This one. Have the students work this out, kind of guide them out and show them how to do it. But anyways, the questions they should be asking themselves is, what are you finding? And after that, uh, what is given from the problem, and then they could work it out. And just guide them, Mr. Villalobos, and just press play when you're ready to show them how it's done. Okay, so in this problem, you have 48. Oops, let me actually color code it for you guys. So in this problem, what are we finding? Well, we're finding the rate of the new unit rate of the new water pump. So, let me use that in blue, of the new water pump. So what we are given from the problem, we're given 48 and 1/3 gallons per, or for 7.5 minutes. So right away, our fraction should look like something like this. That's 48 1/3 G for gallons over, and this one will involve 7.5 M for minutes. All right, we're gonna go ahead and we'll try to do step one, but then before step one, we have to ask ourselves: is the numerator just a number with decimals? No, it's a mixed fraction, right? So we can't go right away and just split up the numbers. Is the denominator just a number or a number with decimals? The answer is no. So what we have to do is we need to split up our mixed fractions to addition problems to get what we want, which is numbers or numbers with decimals. So we're going to go ahead and split up 48 plus 1/3 for the top. And then for the bottom, we're going to split up the number 7 plus 1/2. We're not splitting it up. We're putting in between an addition problem because that's actually an addition problem. Okay, from here, we have to change those fractions to decimals. So go ahead and change those fractions to decimals. And by the way, I'm going to include the units right here. And I'm going to put an equal sign. So once you change those fractions to decimals, you should have 48 plus 0.33. And it repeats over and over. So there's a lot of threes. Over. Now, if you change that to a decimal, you should have 7 plus 0.5 and G over M. Then you just plug it in your calculator and you should get 48.33 over 7.5 G over M, and you plug that in. Now let's slow down a little bit. From this point, they should have been connected to your units. But anyways, now that we look at it over here, now that we're looking over here, uh, do we have what we want for our numerator? And that is, do we have a number with decimals or just a number? And the answer is yes. Now, what about the denominator? Do we have a number or a number with decimals? And the answer is yes. So at this point, you can definitely just plug it in your calculator. But before you can even do that, you want to go ahead and split up your numbers from your units, and it becomes like any regular problem that we just handled. Okay, so Mr. Villalobos, that's a little bit quick review. We're going to jump into the tables, Mr. Villalobos. It should not consume that much time. Just explain them. Well, I'll explain it really quick. The table is the same concept as you guys did in the other problems. You're basically just finding the unit rate again, but Y is always on top and X is always on the bottom. We'll discover that why that reasoning is why, but for right now, you should just know that the money sign goes on top always. And anyways, in your homework, what you had to do, you had to basically either pick either the top pair of Y and X or the bottom pair or the middle pair. Right now, I'm gonna go ahead and just stick with the top. And I'll tell you why it's equal later. Right now, you just have to know that it was a good table to pick from any of the options because they would have been the same value. Anyways, what's the Y for the purple? Go ahead and type it in the chat. They should be able to respond 2.50. And what is the X value for the purple? 0.25 lb. Same problem now. You split up your numbers in units. away if and only if your numerator is a number or a number with decimal, and only if your denominator is also a number uh, or a number with decimals or a decimal. So let me rephrase that. As long as you have numbers or numbers with decimals or just decimals, you can just go ahead and do step one. So go ahead and do that. And you should find out that basically you have the number 5 for money over £1. Oh, actually, my bad. I believe I did that one wrong. So go ahead and find out what's the right answer. So the right answer was 10. I did this on purpose to get you guys working. 10 over 1. So you're paying $10 for £1 for this problem. And that was basically the table. So let me go ahead and move on a little bit more into the new stuff. The new stuff is just a little bit of grade level questions. And I mean, basically, what they're asking you is just a little bit more, which is find the unit rate and then tell me if it meets requirements. Tell me if it's a good buy. So go ahead and do this one, Mr. Villalobos, with the students, and I should be back by now.